Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber, and the guy that wrote me here, he's a young guy, I think he's 24 years old, and he's writing in over deep concern about his older brother. His older brother is 27, and he happens to be a sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. And in this email, this guy describes how his brother married absolutely the wrong woman, and he's truly in the marriage from hell. And it's gotten so bad with this guy's wife that this guy has confided in the brother, the guy who wrote this story, that he is just absolutely miserable. He's really been thinking about ending his own life. He feels like his life isn't his own. I mean, just all sorts of stuff like that. So, the guy who wrote this, the younger brother, he's very concerned about his older brother. He really wants to help him out. He isn't just he is concerned, but also the whole family, because just basically his brother is not the same person that he knows, So when I read this, I absolutely wanted to do this, to do what I can to help this guy out. And, a lot of times when people write in about a friend or ask for advice about a friend, a lot of times it turns out that they're asking advice for themselves. But I don't think this is the case here. I really think this guy is writing on behalf to help his brother out. So I'm going to go through this guy's email so you can hear the really bad situation that his brother's in. And then at the end of the email, I'm going to give advice on what this guy who wrote me, I think he should do about helping the brother out. And then I'll give advice at what I think the brother, the one who's married, the Marine, what I think he should do to get things rolling to get his life back on track. It's a mess, and it's really sad to hear. I don't want any guy to be in a situation like this ever, but I especially don't want someone in our armed forces whose job is to protect us and keep us safe, and whose life can be on the line at any time, you never know, to go through this. No guy should go through this. I especially don't want those guys to go through it. So it starts off saying, he says, "Hey SSM, let me just start by saying I'm a big fan of your channel. As a 24-year-old, I'm learning some valuable information about the current dating/marriage market. I need some advice from my 27-year-old brother. He is currently a sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. A good-looking, nice guy who is compounding mistake after mistake. He married a girl right before boot camp despite walking in on her effing her ex. From that point forward, it has been nothing but disrespect." So, guys, I've said many, many times, if a woman doesn't respect you, she's never going to love you, okay? So he says right here, the guy, his brother, the Marine, he walked in on his girl hooking up with some other dude, and yet he still stayed with her and married her. And now afterwards, it's been nothing but disrespect. I, in no way, shape, or form, want to knock the guy here, but this has to be addressed. That how is she going to respect this guy if he walked in on her hooking up with some other dude, and he still stayed with her and married her? Okay, right then and there, he should have ended with her, walked away, and that would have been it. Okay, done. But unfortunately, I'm going to guess here, the only type of guy that would let that happen and not walk away and even worse, marry a girl like that is a guy that has a very low self-esteem, low self-worth, obviously doesn't have a whole lot of options, and obviously he said he married her before he went out to boot camp. Obviously he was very young and probably didn't have a very good teacher and role model, a male role model, I might add, to point these things out. Because when you're younger, you just don't think about a lot of these things, okay? It really is true. Believe me, guys, a lot of things I talk about in my videos, I've made plenty of mistakes when I was a kid growing up. I didn't know any better because I had nobody to really tell me these things, nor did I seek out advice and answers because I was stubborn, and I learned the hard way. So I take all the screw-ups and the hard lessons I've learned and share them with you guys so you guys don't make the same mistakes I did. But anyhow, he never should have gotten with her. That should have been it, over and done with, but he stayed with her. And of course, she had no respect for him. Okay, not that, I'm giving her a pass. She's an asshole. Also, guys, he married her before boot camp. Guys, I've done so many videos and read so many stories about this horrible cheating that goes on to these young guys. They get married before they go off into boot camp, or they get married before they deploy, and they're young, okay? They're 18 years old, 19, 20 years old. They're kids. No offense. I mean, they are obviously have become men real quickly with the military training, but they're still very young with minimal life experience. And You gotta be out of your damn mind, because in today's world, I've read so many stories, and people send me the stories about they got married before boot camp. They thought that's just what you do, or they got married before they get deployed, and they're gone hardly any time at all, and their wife is cheating on them and milking them for everything it's worth. Meanwhile, she's home while he's deployed, and his life could be in jeopardy at any moment, and she's benefiting from the housing, the health benefits, the pay, everything, right? It's a disgrace, but it happens. So I advise you guys, you young guys that are in the military right now, and you got your girl back home, don't marry her, okay? If you're going to get married, wait until you get out, okay? And if you don't believe me, ask around, okay? Or watch some of my other videos. Or if you are getting out of high school, or you're about to join the military and you want to marry your girl before you go off to boot camp, which they show in movies and stuff like that, don't do it. You're asking for trouble, okay? And again, if you don't believe me, ask around. Ask the other guys. Don't ask the guys that are already married and miserable, because misery loves company. But ask around to people that you can trust to have a good, genuine, truthful answer. But the guy should never have gotten together with her to begin with, let alone before boot camp. I know I'm really going on here and interrupting the email, but I got to make this point clear. So, but again, I'm not knocking the guy. It's just he obviously didn't know any better, and look what happened. Anyway, continuing on. So he married the girl right before boot camp, and in spite of her walking in on her effing her ex. From that point forward, it has been nothing but disrespect. She even invited her ex-boyfriend to the wedding. The same dude that he walked in on her effing, she invited him to the wedding, and he allowed it. You see what I mean? A guy with a lot of self-esteem and self-worth would never tolerate any of this. He would have been done with her. She obviously didn't respect him to begin with when she started hooking up with her ex-boyfriend when she was with this guy, right? So this is why I encourage you guys always to move in a direction to make yourselves more better versions of yourselves, to self-improvement constantly, so you become the type of men that will never tolerate any kind of BS like this from anybody, not just women, family, friends, coworkers, employees, people you do business with, and women. Never, okay? But you're not going to get that way just wake up one morning that way. You got to obviously do things for yourself to get you in that place. All this my brother allowed. Fast forward to 4 years ago, and they are stationed in North Carolina. She's well over 200 pounds and is more bitchy than ever. She's miserable. She's absolutely miserable, and now she looks like a water buffalo over 200 pounds. They have a 1-year-old son, and he, the brother, the Marine, does all the housework and takes care of the baby. She is a nurse, and when she gets home, she goes straight to the wine bottle and offers zero help around the house. The rest of my family and I live in Massachusetts, and every time we visit, he looks progressively more defeated. The guy's completely worn down, and she absolutely doesn't give a crap. She's not lifting a finger around the house. He's taking care of the cleaning and the household duties, which at the very least she should do half of, at least, if not more. And also, he's taking care of the baby. Right? What the hell does he need her for? Right? But she's making his life miserable. Okay? Guys, nobody should live like this. Nobody. Okay? This guy's 27. He can end this and start over. Okay? He may go through hell in the beginning, with the divorce process and everything, and I'm sure the military will be very generous to her no matter how much of a witch she is, but he can move on from that. It continues. Recently, he confided in me that he is miserable and he resents his wife and the decisions that he's made. He frequently contemplates ending it all and feels like his life no longer belongs to him. That sucks. That's got to be so hard to hear for the guy who wrote this in. I mean, that really does. But this guy, and you're going to see it, I'll explain this more at the end, this guy can change his life around, okay? His life isn't on this set-in-stone path that it is right now. He can do things to change it, okay? Any of you guys in a situation that sounds horrible like this, you can make changes, okay? You can get out of this. You're not trapped. You may feel like you're trapped, but you're not trapped. There's always options. They may not be the options you want at that moment, but you do have options. He went from an avid lover of martial arts who was in great shape to a depressed, out-of-shape guy. His wife, and he says this in quotes, controls the money and gives him an allowance. This guy is so far gone. This guy, he is defeated. I mean, he is whipped. Let's be honest here. I don't want to be a jerk to this guy, but I'm being honest. I can't help the guy if I'm not going to be honest, but he really is whipped and he's defeated. And that's the whole thing. When someone is just completely worn down so much, they'll let anything slide, okay? Any guys ever been in a situation where you're so deeply depressed and worn down by life and circumstances, you just give up, you know? She constantly throws it in his face that he has no money, which is ridiculous because it's because of his military benefits that she's able to have all that she has. Right. Every time I go to visit, my family and I have to watch him get bitched at and emasculated. What is even more troubling is they are trying for another kid. That would be a huge mistake. That would make him even more miserable, more trapped in this situation. She keeps having miscarriages. I'm assuming it's because of all the pop pills. She pops pills like candy. I don't know what to tell my brother. I advised him years ago before he married her to ditch her because she was bad news. Well, he should have listened to you, but look what happened. And I want to point out, the guy writing this is the younger brother. You know, usually it's the older brother giving advice to the younger brother. The younger brother gets some of this stuff. I fear for my brother's long-term mental health. He is a shell of his former self. I'm hoping some outside advice will do him some good. He has essentially turned his whole family out. I know he's only with her because he fears starting over, especially now that there is a kid involved. He has openly stated he hates her and he resents her. I apologize for the jumbled email. Any advice would be very appreciated. If you address me in this email in a video, please keep my last name out of it. Thank you for all you do. You're helping more guys than you know. All right, so for the guy that wrote me this email who's trying to help out his brother, the Marine, first of all, you're an awesome brother for doing this. And the fact that you care, that's really awesome. I would try to arrange it that you get together with your brother here in person, okay? Just you two. Because remember, as you said in this email, he confided in you about how unhappy he is and how he's been thinking about ending it all and things like that. So obviously you're the person he can go to and feels like he can trust. And I would go to him and say, listen, man, and be as sincere and choose your words carefully that basically, look, you're miserable. You're thinking about ending it all. You got to get out of this, okay? And let him know that he is not, okay, yes, he married the wrong woman. And yes, he's made bad decisions. But guess what? That doesn't mean the rest of his life he has to be trapped with her because of those poor decisions when he was younger. Because we'll give him a discount, we'll give him a pass here on the basis that he married her and made these life-altering decisions when he was a kid, when he was very young with minimal life experience. I would tell your brother that he can change things around, okay? But the first thing I would tell him is to get out, end it with her, okay? And I guarantee his biggest concern will be his 1-year-old child. I totally get that. I totally respect that. And I would approach him in the sense that, look, do you want your kid growing up in a house like this where you're both miserable? Because the kid's going to end up that way. Guaranteed. The kid's going to see you and mom hating each other's guts. And the kid will end up in a relationship just like that. So you don't want that for your son. Also, the fact that in terms of his own mental health, this guy's miserable and he's spoken about ending it all. So right then and there, that shows you how bad it is. So I would tell him these things. And remember, to the guy who wrote me this email, as you know, us guys, we have pride. Okay, and we don't like to admit that we screwed up. So I would, again, I would choose your words carefully with him, but let him know that you are 100% on his side and has his back, as is the family. But don't let him think that the whole family's sitting around talking about him all the time, because that's going to make him more defensive. And the reason he has shut you out and the rest of the family is because he's so miserable and feels like such a failure and a loser. Let him know that, hey, we all make mistakes. Plenty of guys before him married the wrong woman, and guess what? Ended it and lived to tell the tale and started over, and so can he, okay? So I would do that. I would go to him and let him know you're behind him 100%, but he's got to end this, okay? Because he's miserable, and for the kid, and for his own mental health, and obviously it's that bad because he does want to end his own life, okay? And then help him get started, okay? Now, my advice would be for the guy, I'm advising the brother here, things he can tell him, is that I would advise him first and foremost to speak to an attorney. Okay, now obviously he's in the military, so it's a little different. I'm not sure if he talks to a JAG or if he talks to a regular lawyer in the private sector. I don't know how that works exactly, but speak to an attorney that will deal with divorce in the military. And I would advise he finds out all the options, good, bad, or ugly, what's the worst case scenario, how it's going to go. Because from what I gather, from what I've heard from different stories, different people, obviously the military, they're going to favor the wives. So she may make out like a bandit. But if she does, who cares? All right, it's worth it. The guy's 27 years old. He can start over. Okay, 27, that's young. Okay, I'm 43. It was like yesterday I was 27 years old. Okay, I'd kill to work back into my 27-year-old self and have that 27-year-old body and have the knowledge I have now in my 27-year-old self and be able to redo some shit. Believe me. But anyhow, he can start over. He can get a clean slate. But talk to that lawyer. Find out all your options and end it. And I'd recommend the guy probably would get some counseling of some sort because obviously he's got a lot of mental health. He's very depressed, obviously. And the fact that he was thinking about ending it all, he definitely should talk to somebody. Even if it's for a few sessions just to, get things off his chest. Okay? And I would definitely, to the brother who wrote this, let him know, again, the family's with him 100%. And when he's ready to go through this, have the family talk to him and reassure him. Lots of reassurance. They're behind him 100% and all that because he's going to need it because he's going to be going through hell with the divorce. And then, she may get the kid, unfortunately. That's probably how it's going to go, but at least be as involved as you can with the kid. And you can start over. Even if the wife makes out like a bandit in terms of the divorce process, the guy can start over because you know what? Even if he has very little left after the divorce, at least he gets a second chance, a clean slate, and he can rebuild. But I would recommend this guy also starts watching my channel and my videos as well as others. I'm not the only game in town. There's plenty of other great channels out there with great guys that talk about things that could really help him get back on track, reading some good books, things like that. And I'd recommend that he would definitely get back into working out at the gym, martial arts, the things that he used to enjoy before he got into this horrible marriage, and start really building up the man who he used to be. Because look, he's a sergeant in the Marines. He's a badass, okay? That's awesome. And my absolute respect to the guy for doing that. But I've known guys that were in the military, and believe me, they were badasses as men, but when it comes to the women in their lives, they're totally pee-whipped, and the women walk all over, okay? And they stop being that tough, badass guy because just for whatever reason, they just... Maybe they had domineering mothers, maybe it's their culture, or just simply the times, thanks to the feminist movement, that they've been brainwashed to behave that way, okay? So I'd recommend that guy really works on himself and avoids women in relationships for a long time until he gets himself in a place where he has self-respect for himself as a man, gets over the divorce, and gets his life back on track. But he can do it. But you as the brother who wrote this really got to be there by his side to help him out. It means you checking in on him every day once he gets this thing rolling with a text, with an email, with a call, whatever. Help the guy out. But he'll be okay. But he has to want this. He has to make this decision to go through this because life is too short. And if he seems a little resistant about this, just say, look, man, is she who you hate and is making you miserable and doesn't love you in any way, shape, or form and disrespects you all the time? You want to spend the rest of your life with her like that? Can you imagine spending 50 more years with her like that? Put it to him like that. Do you want your son to be married to a woman like her one day? I think if you put that in that perspective, I think that could really make him open up in his eyes. And let him know there's been plenty of other guys before him that married the wrong girl, too young, and they were able to get out of it and get a second chance. So that's what I would advise both to the brother in terms of approaching his Marine Corps brother, and advice I'd give to the Marine to help get his life back on track. And there's other things. But he really can, he has to want it. So anyhow, that is it for today, guys. Be sure to comment down below. For any of you guys who have been through the divorce or been in a situation kind of like this, please do share your comments below because the guy reading this, the guy who wrote me this email will read this, and maybe even his brother will see this video and read this one and help him out. So please do comment down below. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.